I call this meeting of Conroe Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that a quorum of members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is 6:01. Welcome, everyone. Our first item of business is our invocation and pledge. Please join us as Scott Moore leads us in our invocation and Ms. Stacy Chase leads us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
If you're so inclined, I invite you to bow with me. Holy and loving God, we give you thanks for this beautiful day. We give you thanks for this wonderful community and all those who support each other, support our students, support this district in so many different ways. Those who give of their time and their talents to support our students, our educators, and all who work with our children and give of their hearts each and every day just to see that every child succeeds. God, we pray for our nation, for our state, for our community, for leaders at all levels. We pray for this board. We pray that despite any divisions that we may encounter individually, we pray that your will would always be before us, and that every decision we make would always be in accordance with your plans for this district. God, we thank you for those who have served. We thank you for those who have come before us and have laid the foundation for such a wonderful district. We pray for your continued safety for our district, and we give you thanks in the precious and holy name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, thank you very much. You may be seated. Our next item is item 2A, Niche Best of Awards. Dr. Knoll.
All right, thank you, President Hubert. We have some celebrations tonight. I think our celebrations not only for our school district, but for our entire community. And here to share them is Mrs. Sarah Blakelot.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. It is my pleasure to come before you tonight and share this exciting news. Conroe ISD, for the second consecutive year, was ranked the best school district in Montgomery County by Niche. If you're unfamiliar with Niche, it is a wonderful website that has school district and college information from across the country. And the main focus is to connect families with schools. And so it's a tool often used by families looking to relocate, and it allows them to compare school districts. So there are in-depth profiles in every school in America, and it reaches, it has 140 million reviews and ratings, so it's definitely very popular. With our Best School District Award, we were also proud to receive again for the second year the most diverse school district. We were named the best place to teach in Montgomery County and the best school district for athletes. And I know in our hearts we all believe that we're the best at everything, but it's also nice to receive external affirmation. And so we just want to thank you for your support in making this happen and the wonderful work of all of our employees, because it's a true reflection of everybody coming together for our students and community. And so I believe, yes?
Yeah. So we'd certainly like to give you an opportunity if you want to make any comments about it, but then we're gonna take like the most massive group photo we've ever taken. And we're gonna get all of our CISD staff that are present with us to come up here, and we're gonna take a picture in just a second. But I don't know if anybody would like to respond or have anything to say before we do that. So,
Would like to go first? Please, if you'd like to.
It's nice to have validation for what we already knew.
Yeah, no, I would like to say just a few things, because looking at those things, those are great things to accomplish. But and yes, I understand that this board plays a major role in making sure those things happen, and you guys do a fantastic job. I see your blood, sweat, and tears that you put into this district. Just all the decisions you make, but all of the legwork that happens behind the scenes as well. A lot of times, a lot of people only see us on Tuesday nights, once a month, but I see you guys at all of the other events, not just the other events, but you're digging into our budget, you're digging into the tax rates, you're digging into issues, you take on personal things. We're going to hear from Dyslexia. You take on issues, and it means a lot to me to know that you guys are working that hard, and it's easy to support you in what you're doing, and especially for the teachers as well. I've often said that I believe that teaching is a calling, and I don't know if anybody's doing it for the money, but it certainly is a calling. And those of you that can take children and learn how to communicate at their level, whatever grade level that is, and have them have that aha moment where they learn something. And Mr. Sanders talks about an experience he had in fourth grade math. The fourth grade?
Fifth grade math.
Fifth grade math, how a teacher really helped him out, and that was a calling. And so we want to say thank you. All of that stuff really has to do with what you do, and also certainly the leadership that we get from Dr. Knoll, and how he leads by example, and cares for and shows that all the time. So thank you all for what you do. It's easy to support you, and we appreciate everything you do.
Awesome. So here we go, group picture time. So all CISD staff, come forward. Let's file in.
Let's get in this.
Board members, get in. Let's go.
Let's get in this.
We're going to stand back here. You've got the pretty shirts. They're gonna get a picture taken. Seventh grade B-team basketball
Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3.
Most diverse school that makes me welcome.
Yes.
Best district, give kids things to do. Opportunities. You know,
Best
place
place
to
to
teach,
teach.
and teachers like what they're doing.
Absolutely. Like being here.
So that was a large group photo, but I'll just remind everybody that I don't know, we may have had 100 people in that picture, so that leaves about 9,900 other great people out there that played a huge role in this that weren't able to be in the picture, but we're so thankful for everybody, and certainly our teachers. But, you know, as I go out and present, one of the things that I always say in every presentation is these awards happen and our success happens because we have great teachers. That's it. And for the rest of us, myself included, the board, all of us whose job it is to support our teachers, it's our privilege, and just to watch you all do what you do, and we'll get a chance here to celebrate the most colorful group of teachers here tonight, but as we move on to our next item. So.
Speaking of that, our next item is item 2B, which is District of Distinction Award, Texas Art Education Association.
So it was nice and from niche.com to see the recognition for our athletics programs, and now it's also very important to see recognition for our fine arts programs. So our great Dr. Bob Horton to make this presentation.
President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll, I am excited to share with you that Conroe ISD has received a 2022 designation as a District of Distinction from TAEA, the Texas Art Educators Association. Let me begin by thanking you, our CISD Board of Trustees, for your support of fine arts that allow opportunities like this recognition to be possible. You'll see that we just recently had our district art show open house, and images from our student artists, over 350 images, will be kind of rolling as we make this presentation. Conroe ISD received this honor for providing a well-rounded education that advocates and integrates visual arts curriculum to inspire creativity and provide opportunities that connect students to their community and beyond. TAEA is the leading advocate for visual arts in our state, and it has previously honored outstanding members for their work in the classroom and now districts. To earn the 2022 award, over 1,200 districts were eligible to apply. We submitted documentation from a 14-point rubric that covered the entire 2021 and 22 school year. Only 59 districts in the state met the high standard and will receive this outstanding honor, indicating that we are in the top 4% of districts for art education in the state of Texas. A quote that exemplifies this award is this: Conroe ISD has set a high standard for visual arts advocacy, integrated visual arts curriculum, encouraged creativity, community participation, and student growth, said Sandra Newton, who is the chair of the Administration and Supervision Division of TAEA. It is a true testament to your visual art educators' skill, dedication, and flexibility that the quality of their programs continue to provide strong and comprehensive visual art educational experiences to students. This is the 4th year that TAEA is honoring districts that met this rigorous criteria that was all evidence from data. 2022 is the first year that CISD has been named a District of Distinction by TAEA. At this time, I would like to invite all of our teachers who are in attendance, you will recognize them by their shirt, and our fine arts specialist, Dr. Lisa Davis, who led this work, to stand and be recognized. Hopefully you were able to see the shirt that was placed on your desk. We want to thank CISD Printing and Graphics for helping us with that, and also one of our vendors who printed it for us. But thank you for giving support and recognition to the exemplary work by our visual arts teachers of CISD.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Somehow I seem to have become the Fine Arts Award designated trustee, but that's something I will take on gladly. You know, one of the things that I have absolutely loved in my time here in the district is seeing the visual artwork of our students. And I don't know if you that don't work in this building realize it, but you can walk through these hallways and see some of our student artwork. And I spend a lot of time every year down at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and I always take time to walk through the art exhibit there and try to find, and it's amazing how easy it is to find. You don't have to look very far to find art on display, student art at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo from Conroe ISD. You don't have to look very far in Austin at the Texas Association of School Boards building to find artwork from students at CISD. We know how important fine arts education across the board is to the overall growth of students. It brings out their creativity. It helps them find beauty in the world. It helps some of them find a voice from inside that they didn't know they had. And it helps scientifically with their temporal spatial learning. So it helps them in the classroom the more arts education they get. So on behalf of the board, we want to thank all of you teachers for doing that, all of you parents who support that. I have a piece of artwork in my office that I proudly display that her mom's here tonight from one of our CISD students that she gave to me as a gift. So thank you for helping our students become whole people and helping bring beauty into this world. We thank you very much for all your work.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
We do appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you for
Thank
everything
you.
do. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
We do appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Heather.
Thank you.
Appreciate every part.
Thank you.
Dr. Horton, thank you for everything.
And the muscle. Thank you. This isn't a shrink. Please keep shrinking mine. All right. Here. All right. Amy. And thank you.
That's okay. I have an extra.
That's great. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Dr. Horton. Appreciate all that they do. And art, you know, you can't even make out my stick figures, so I'm impressed with what y'all do. Okay, moving on to item C, 2C, which is our Dyslexia Awareness Month.
Yeah, October is the month that we celebrate dyslexia awareness, and I think it's also fitting that, it's been one of the passions of Mr. Moore, and so it's fitting that October is to be his last meeting as well, but to celebrate and to really make some recognitions tonight of our great team that we have working in with our students with dyslexia. We have Dr. Tamika Taylor tonight to make some introductions.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. As mentioned, we are super excited to celebrate the work of our dyslexia department tonight. October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, and our department continues to grow and work extremely hard. We have approximately 41 students identified for dyslexia services, and in our district, we have approximately 49 staff members in intermediate and middle school, and in high school we have approximately 16 staff members. 7 new dyslexia interventionist positions have been added this year to accommodate our students, and we continue to add positions constantly. We continue to participate in our Certified Academic Language Program, which is a part of the Scottish Rite Take Flight program for children, and currently have 16 interventionists being certified in that area. The dyslexia interventionist in all grade levels has also begun case managing for our students. And what happens with the case management, they follow students once they complete dyslexia intervention programs to ensure they have tools and accommodations needed to be successful in secondary education and post-secondary career opportunities. The dyslexia department has been extremely busy, and we want to thank the Board of Trustees for their continued support for our dyslexia program. Some additional stats to share with you tonight is that we had 3,421 students approximately 3 years ago, and we're up to 4,100%. So we went from approximately 5% of our students' population to 6% of our student population. The 66 staff members for dyslexia support services currently is up from 50 staff members 3 years ago. To make the evaluation a little easier, one of the things we did to restructure was that the dyslexia department is now a part of the special education services. And in terms of our budget, dyslexia-related services is close to $5 million, which includes traveling, training staff, and material. The budget has nearly doubled from where it started in 2017 and 18 at over $2.5 million. This is significantly above and beyond what the district receives from the state's dyslexia allotment. And those 15 teachers that are taking the CERT training will continue to have the training this summer, in addition to receiving a stipend for their work as being CALT certified. This department, as mentioned, has been extremely busy, and I want to give a special thanks to Dr. Kendra Wiggins, who is our Director of Special Education Services, and Dr. Sharon Henry, who is our Coordinator of Dyslexia Services. And to the dyslexia teachers here tonight, I want to personally give a special thanks to you. I've seen you in work, and what people don't really know a lot about what they do is all of this extensive training is very intense. They have to be very knowledgeable about the curriculum that is used. It involves direct instruction, it's systemic, sequential, very cumulative, and they have to be able to understand the training to meet the needs of our students with dyslexia. They work very tirelessly, and there are so many things that you do that people don't even know about. So I want to thank you so much for all of your work. And again, thank you to the board for supporting our dyslexia efforts. At this time, our dyslexia staff, please join me up front so that we can properly thank you for all that you do.
Ms. Wagner, would you like to say anything? Or? Take a picture first. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Ms. Wagner's going to say a few words, and we all like to shake your hands. So.
Just a few words. Dr. Taylor said really everything there is to say. You all have just done incredible work, climbed incredible mountains to help our students. And we as a district, we thank you for all of your efforts. I wish we could pay you in more than hugs and high fives. But every single child that you touch, you know that they are going to have success because of the efforts that you're putting in right now. And that is the greatest reward. And so for that, we thank you.
Look around here, and we'll shake some hands.
Thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you. Thanks for putting up with me. Thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you.
More of my teachers would have been here. We have a late
Thank you
parent last
for all
night.
you do.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all you do.
Thank you so much. High five and hugs.
Thank you much, appreciate it. Thank you, man, appreciate it. Y'all don't know how much I appreciate them.
Absolutely. Great work. Thank you for what y'all do. You know, I've seen this, I've been contemplating saying this, but I have dyslexia myself, and it's kind of a running joke at our home. You have to have a sense of humor with it. But my wife, one time we were going out, and she sent me to go get cheese nips, and I came back with nip cheese because that's what I saw.
And those were wrong.
But those are real issues. Those are real issues. So anyway, we appreciate what y'all are doing for these kids, and it's there is hope and there is light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you for what y'all are doing. Moving on to item 2D, Community Citizen of the Year Award, which will be presented by the Woodlands Chamber of Commerce. Mr.
Yeah, I
J.J.
think-
Holly, I'll turn it over to.
I think Ms. Blakelock's going to make the introduction here.
Yeah.
Good evening again, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. I am so excited to get to join you again for another celebration. We are so fortunate to have strong partnerships with so many organizations in our community, and we all work together for the betterment of one another, and it is my honor to introduce President and CEO of the Woodlands Area Chamber of Commerce, J.J. Holly, for special recognition.
Thank you, Sarah. It is certainly an honor to be here and recognize the Community Citizen of the Year. It is awarded to a local resident that has made a significant contribution to our community. This individual has provided leadership to improve the economic, civic, and/or cultural well-being of the Woodlands area and South Montgomery County, and we would like to proudly present this to Dr. Curtis Knoll.
The award comes with one trophy.
I just have a few short words. As the largest business organization in Houston region, and for the last 44 years, the Woodlands Area Chamber of Commerce has played a vital role in serving and advocating for area businesses, driving economic growth, and helping our community to be the most successful place to live, work, and play. As a past chairman of the board for the Chamber and a 2015 Legacy Award winner, I want to add my, as well as the board's, thank you to Dr. Knoll for all you do, and our congratulations to you for your outstanding leadership in receiving this Community Citizens of the Year award. You spent hours upon hours, Dr. Knoll, in time in this community promoting Conroe ISD, creating a successful learning environment for our students, helping support our teachers and staff in numerous ways, and assuring our taxpayers and our citizens that we remain academically efficient and academically excellent and financially efficient. Thank you to Dr. Knoll for being our Community Citizen of the Year, and thank you to the Woodlands Area Chamber of Commerce for this recognition. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you, sir.
All means all, right?
That's right.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, JJ, for coming. We appreciate you and what y'all do for our community as well. Makes a
And I'll
difference.
just say thank
Yeah,
you
please.
once again. I mean, I think we've celebrated, we've seen I'm blessed to have this opportunity. We serve, as a school district, we serve a wonderful community. As a public school system, we simply are a mirror to our community. And for us, we are lucky that we're holding a mirror in front of a wonderful place. And people want to be here, they want to raise their children here. As we can see from 4,000 more kids than we had at this point last year, where the national narrative is kids are not in school and school districts are shrinking. We're finding all the ones they're losing, and
Then some.
but that's because we have great leadership. It's because we have great campus leadership, great teachers. The team that's in this building is amazing, and you know, I'm not much for personal recognition. I love to go and receive awards for the district, and I view this as a district award as well. So just thank you all for your support. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, on that theme, we have one more item here under item 2, which is we would like to recognize Mr. Scott Moore as our outgoing Conroe ISD Board of Trustee. Dr. Noel, I'd like to turn the time over to you, please.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it still is, it's not too late for us to veto, really. I don't know, but, we want to have an opportunity tonight to celebrate Mr. Moore and his accomplishments, and certainly want to take an opportunity to bring him out front and have the audience have their chance to say thank you. But prior to doing that, I think it's appropriate to give you all that same opportunity to have some words here for your colleague as well. So I'll humbly turn it back over to you,
Sure.
President Hubert,
Yeah.
for you all to share your thoughts.
Yep, thank you. I had an opportunity last month to say a few things, so I'd like to turn it over to you in no particular order. Whoever would like to go.
I did as well, but as I've said last month, I just want to say thank you, Scott. It's been a pleasure to serve under you. It's been truly an honor to serve with someone who has a passion as yours and continue to serve without any outside agenda. Honestly, have the heart for these kids and the heart for the school district and what's best for the administration and the district at large. So just want to say thank you for that. There's never been an opportunity where I didn't feel as if I could come to you, and we may have differences of opinion on various things, but ultimately we both understood what was most important, and we put everything else aside and did what's in the best interest of the school district. So thank you for that. That's the epitome of what a great school board member should look like. So thank you for modeling that example. That's all.
Okay.
Dyslexia, yeah. Just say it's been an absolute honor working with you and a real pleasure to get to know you. You reached out to me as I was running back in 2020, and I felt like, man, I know where this guy's heart is at, and it's at the same place mine is. And it's just been just a real honor to serve on this board with you. And you will definitely be missed.
Thank you.
Ms. Wegman?
Perfect, thank you. Scott, I am truly going to miss your leadership. You were very, very supportive of me the first time I ran and kept my spirits up for the second time, all the while giving me the opportunity to learn from you, learn how to be a good school board member. And I'm saddened that we won't have 2 more years with you, but I know that you are not far away and that your phone will ring and you will pick up. And I just want to say thank you. I know that Dr. Mefford and Dr. Winkler and I will miss the ability to shade us during graduation. When the sun comes over the pavilion or sets at the pavilion. But it has been a true joy and honor to serve with you, to get to know you and your beautiful wife. And I wish you all the greatest success and just everything good to come your way, because you are so deserving in all that you do for your community. So thank you.
Scott, I had to write mine down so I wouldn't forget anything. Mr. Moore, I've had the privilege of serving with you these past 6 years. I want you to know I appreciate you. I appreciate your service to our community and to this Board of Trustees. You have served faithfully. You have advocated for our students both here and in Austin. You've been a voice for our students to make sure that all means all. You've not wavered in your goal to be an informed member of this board. You, Mr. Moore, have made a difference in our district. You encourage others, you are kind, and you care. There is no other higher calling than public service to our community, and I thank you for what you've done, sir.
Well, I'm going to ask you to join me out front just so we can make this as awkward as we can. Put that down so I didn't drop it because I was pretty close to breaking it over there right before I got up. So you all know Mr. Moore as a school board member for the last 6 years, but that's not how he first began his service in the school district. I know Mr. Moore from way back in his days as a PTO volunteer and watchdog in elementary schools, long before he ever had an interest or a thought of even running for the board. He's been giving back to the school district. You would see him volunteering at events. You would see him playing the drums at school programs. You'd just see him everywhere. He served on the facility planning committee. I believe he even chaired one of those committees prior to his board run as he worked to learn about the school district. There's so many other things that Scott's been involved in and done that no one would ever see or know about. And most of that occurred even before he became a board member. One example, I'll just share one story with you, is Scott was the chaplain for the Conroe High School football team. So, when he would do talks with the team before games, but also was there for any child with an injury, to counsel with the child, to counsel with the parents in that very scary moment and moments that they would be in, and always there on the road. And I can even remember we had one situation at a summertime football game, 7-on-7, where a young man broke his leg and his parents weren't present. And Mr. Moore rode in the ambulance with the young man and took care of him, at the hospital until his parents could get there. And those are the things. That's the heart. There's no public accolades for that. He may even forgotten about that story because he does so many great things, but that stuck with me, the difference that he made. And so we celebrate your 6 years of service to the board, but the community service to this school district, to the entire community, goes much longer, and I know that it doesn't end tonight with your time on the board. Even if you end up moving somewhere else, you're still a Conroe ISD graduate. Like you're still one of ours, and we know that you'll be here to support us. So we thank you so much for all that you've done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for those kind words, Dr. Null. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been 13 years serving this district, and I've never been prouder to call myself a Conroe ISD graduate. I travel all over the state. I've had the opportunity to travel the state, to train other school boards, to go to Austin and meet with lawmakers and meet trustees from other districts. And there are some fabulous things going on in public education around the state, but I always came back home so proud of who we were as Conroe ISD, and so honored to be able to serve this district. When I first ran in 2016, one of the local media outlets asked me why I was running, and I didn't have an agenda. I wasn't looking to fix something that was broken. I was proud of this district, and I wanted to be a part of it and continue to lead it, and continue to see it grow and prosper, and continue to see our kids succeed. It has been a wonderful ride. I don't regret a single second of my service on this board. I have met some wonderful people along the way. They're sitting out here. I feel like when I'm talking to the average person about dyslexia, I feel like I have information to give to them. And when I sit down with Shannon and Nicole and these other moms, I know that I just know this much about it. They're the real superheroes. They mentioned my service in Austin and stuff. It was with these dyslexia moms, and they are a force to be reckoned with. I want to thank our special ed and our dyslexia department again. Thank you for putting up with me all these years. Thank you for the grace you showed me in teaching me, and thank you for allowing me to ask difficult questions and try to bring some ideas to the district. There's a lot of departments that I've worked more closely with than others just simply because of my background. We have a very diverse set of skills up here on this dais. I've served with bankers and with financial planners and with attorneys, and that's not my strong suit, but I have built buildings before, and Mr. Foster and I have had some great conversations about buildings. And I just want to thank all of you for putting up with me and for letting me try to do what was best. I'm going to close with a quote, and I'm going to openly steal this. And Tracy Fisher, if you're watching, I'm giving you academic credit here. A friend of mine who's a teacher, or excuse me, a trustee in Capel ISD. It was never about my kids, it was about your kids. And I have been honored to serve you and to try to do what was best for your taxpayer dollars and for your students and teachers and paras for your paycheck. Thank you to everybody that has even a slight touch in this district. You make this a wonderful district and a wonderful community, and I'm going to miss all of you. Thank you.
Hey, make him walk. Make him walk. Hey. All means all. All means all.
I'll give you an award, man. Walk.
That's funny. All right. Good man, Scott Moore. Good man, Scott Moore. All right. Moving on to item 3, which is citizen participation. Ms. Godfrey, I know we have a few people signed up today.
We do, yes.
All right, very good. So please keep in mind that while the meeting is held in a public forum, the purpose of this meeting is for the Board of Trustees to conduct the business of the district. In accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, and Board Policy BED, if a patron during public comment addresses an issue that is on tonight's posted agenda, the board will defer its discussion of the issue until the item reaches the agenda. For any issue that is not on the board's posted agenda, the board cannot and will not deliberate or make a decision related to that issue. Speakers who have signed up to address the board during public comment must make all comments to the Board of Trustees and not the audience. The board has specific policy under which the board considers complaints. If your purpose is to seek some type of remedy, the board cannot discuss or respond to your concern until you have met the requirements of the appropriate district policy. Accordingly, the board will not hear complaints or derogatory comments about individual students or staff during public comments. Information about how to file a complaint is located in the district's website. The board expects that everyone in attendance will conduct themselves respectfully, regardless of whether they agree or disagree with the speaker's message. Interrupting speakers or this meeting will not be tolerated. To ensure that the board can efficiently conduct the district's business, each of the speakers who have registered to address the board will be given 3 minutes to present their comments. Each speaker's time will be displayed on the screen around the room. When the countdown time reaches 0, the next speaker will be called. Ms. Godfrey, will you please call our first person?
Mary Ann Horton.
I have held my tongue as I have heard denials that inappropriate books exist in the classrooms. As a former language arts teacher in the district, I think parents need to know these books exist. However, these books were not necessarily put there by teachers. These books were put there by the district. I have hesitated to speak about this in fear of retaliation against my own family. In 2019, I believe every other secondary ELA teacher in the district was given a set of classroom library books, enough to fill 2 tall shelves and 1 waist-high shelf. As a teacher, access to so many books was at first very exciting to me. However, before students returned to our particular junior high, we were told to remove Jack of Hearts and Other Parts and another book. I unfortunately cannot recall the title. It had a half-dressed girl wearing only a bikini and a sash of ammo on its cover. We were also told to manage our own book tracking system. Classroom library books are not cataloged for parents to monitor like the books in the library. However, so many books in the classroom provided easy access for independent reading time, which is time set aside for students to choose their own books that are not necessarily on the curriculum. Because I did not want to be liable for any lost books, I encouraged my students to keep their books in the classroom. At that time, I didn't really think about the fact parents would have no idea what their children were reading. Students did question the material in some of my books. After a few complaints, I asked how the books were chosen and was told the vendor curated the list. I assumed the books had been vetted by the district, perhaps not. Some titles had enough copies for me to use in book groups. I will never forget about midway through the assignment, one group told me their book felt like something they shouldn't be reading in school. They were reading All American Boys. In addition to police brutality, the book is littered with profanity, drugs, alcohol, and teachers having sex at school. My students asked me if they had to finish the book, and I told them no. That is not a teaching experience I want to remember. Those were good kids. I felt like I had let them down. I have heard the argument that students will be exposed to such ideas anyway. When I was a teenager, I remember a friend handing me a cigarette. I knew my parents wouldn't approve, but I was faced with a moral dilemma, one that would shape the person I would become. But what if that cigarette had been given to me by a teacher? Would I have felt that same conviction? When sensitive material is given by authority figures, moral lines can blur. Governor Abbott has said teachers found to have pornographic books would be tried to the fullest extent of the law. That is a dangerous place for our district's teachers to be. Many did not choose the books in their classrooms. The district did. I reached out to the board earlier this year and never received a reply. It is my opinion that by putting these books in the classrooms, the current board has failed to protect its students and its teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex Harris. Alex Harris.
School leadership and Board of Trustees. My name is Alex, and I want to talk about what's in the TEKS. You are required to talk about the world religions. Now, most Americans don't even understand world religions, and you're given the task of having to teach world religions. And I had the opportunities to look at your textbooks, and I see whatever is required in the TEKS is there. It's scattered around. And what I want to suggest to you all today, especially Dr. Knoll, is to create a framework, because world religions can be very easily understood if you create a framework. Otherwise, you just get a little bit here, a little bit over there. And the TEKS call out one aspect of the framework, which is monotheism. But philosophical thought is beyond just monotheism. There is something called monism, there's something called agnosticism, and of course everyone's familiar with atheism. So what I'm asking is, please create a framework, because you're given a whole list of religions to cover, which is very hard to do, because you always struggle, can I cover all of this? You have things like Buddhism, Christianity, Confucianism, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, and Sikhism, and these are very lengthy topics. But when you create a framework, you say, hey, here are the religions, and here's the framework. It's a very simple framework. It's either based on monotheism, it's based on monism, or it's an agnostic religion. And when you do that, it's very easy to understand exactly what these religions are. And what's interesting is a lot of the religions will shift with time. It starts in one place. A good example is Buddhism. Buddhism started out as an agnostic religion. It had no concern about God. It says, hey, this is all about life. That's all we know. But over time, you see it start to shift. And another one is Judaism. Judaism we are familiar with. You know, it's based on the text that's given to us. But over time, it has borrowed from other areas, like Hinduism. Like, for example, it has borrowed from monism. So when you have a framework, it's very easy to understand the religions of the world. It's not a complex subject. And you know, oh, okay, that's where it belongs. Well, over time, it's moved, which is perfectly fine. But if you don't create a framework, you're going to have a very tough time. And you ask any grown-up in America about religions of the world, they're confused. How much more the children? So please, I'd be happy to sit and just share some of my thoughts. This is quite simple to break it down, because once you break it down, it's very easy to understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole May.
wasn't gonna cry, but y'all got everything going, so can't promise anything. Just very quickly, I want to say what a big deal it is that we are training up cults. This is, for our kids that are dyslexic, cults are angels on earth, truly. It takes so much work to become a cult. I hope y'all pay them really well to retain them and recruit lots more people that want to do it. So it's a great start. I just want to say thank you. And Dr. Henry is amazing. She has been a part of numerous meetings, some good, some not so good. but she is amazing, and if only we could duplicate Dr. Henry as well. So good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. I'm here tonight to recognize October as Dyslexia Awareness Month as well. I would like to begin by highlighting 5 interesting topside dyslexia facts. Number 1, it is widely accepted that 1 in 5, or 20% of the population, is dyslexic. Number 2, that would total approximately 14,000 CISD students that are struggling readers. Number 3, this year, dyslexic thinking was added as an official skill in LinkedIn. Number 4, also this year, the Texas Dyslexia Handbook was updated to finish the work the 87th legislature left undone. Thank you to Dr. Audrey Young, who is here tonight as well, for leading the charge in the SBOE and doing what is right for struggling readers in the state of Texas. Number 5, there is one incredible school board trustee in the state of Texas that showed up again and again for struggling readers. His name is Scott Moore, and tonight, dyslexia families in Conroe ISD would like to honor Scott with an award. This award is a token to Trustee Moore for his dedication and commitment to bettering the lives of the 14,000 Conroe ISD students that struggle to read. Personally, I will never forget the many conversations we had discussing the needs of struggling readers, nor will I ever forget the fact that you traveled to Austin countless times in the spring and summer of 2021, fighting alongside dyslexia families all across the state for what was right for our kids. Your work on our board for struggling readers is a legacy that leaves behind roots of change and honor to students that struggle to read. I have hopes that another trustee will now carry this torch for struggling readers. Change has begun, but there is still so much work to be done. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Trustee Moore, for leading with bravery, dedication, and commitment to struggling readers. You 100% have changed the lives of students in our district. I wish you all the best in the future and am beyond grateful for giving parents of struggling readers a voice. So this award here, last year we got an award. So this year, this award says School Board Trustee Influencing Education Award, presented to Scott Moore by Conroe ISD families of dyslexic students in appreciation of your commitment and dedication to all struggling readers in Conroe ISD. Thank you. Wherever you're going is lucky to have you.
Misty Odenwiller.
I'm proud of you. You did it. She didn't think she could do it without trying. Good evening. I'd like to begin by stating that as I started to sit down and write what I was going to share tonight, I was reminded that it was a year ago. I've been here 12 months in a row, listening, sharing with you all. And you know my story and my background of being a Christian, a wife, a mother, a Mimi, a businesswoman, and an educator. But something you may not realize about this year is that my experiences before you have brought me to a new venture in my life. And I have all of you to thank for that. 11.1.15b of the Texas Education Code clearly states, and was affirmed by this letter I am holding in my hand from TEA Commissioner Mike Morath, the following. The trustees as a board, corporate, have the exclusive power and duty to govern and oversee the management of public schools and of the district, of this district. All powers and duties not specifically delegated by statute to the agency of the State Board of Education are reserved for the trustees, and the agency may not substitute its judgment for the lawful exercise of those powers and duties by the trustees. Sadly, I haven't always seen that hold true over the last year. Some takeaways. Inappropriate books still remain on the shelves, and you have the full authority to remove them. No one else has to do it. You, as a board, could choose by looking at the books, the content that you acknowledged in the meeting in May was concerning of some of those books. And you've not acted. A policy was enacted, and that's a great start, but those books continue to be on the shelves. The board is supposed to be independent, and you're supposed to be the guardian. And yet you have adopted practices and policies and educational materials not required by TEA that are not in the best interest of our children and our teachers, placing both in uncomfortable and sometimes dangerous situations. Where's your independence? You come out here with little or no discussion and vote unanimously. I've only seen 2 votes that were not unanimous. Where is the independence? As hard as it is for you to sit here and listen to disgruntled people like me and taxpayers and parents, it's harder for them to get up here and share for you. And it appears to fall on deaf ears. Some have been told they come too often and speak too much. How can this continue?
Diane Daniel.
Hello. Mr. Moore, I'd like to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Ms. Daniel.
Everything that you've done for dyslexia, I truly appreciate it. The board has done many good things, but I'd like to bring up a documentary called Transrec. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but Conroe ISD is featured in the trailer. Conroe ISD teachers account for the situation, If a student is struggling with a gender identity, administrators are telling the teachers not to divulge this to parents. I found that appalling. Another teacher in the trailer from Conroe ISD, another teacher had a student who was struggling with gender identity and told the parents, the administrator told the teacher, she should not have done this. What gives you the right to keep information from the parents? None. It's their child. You are holding responsibility for reading, writing, and arithmetic. If any of that has the scope, you need to contact the parent and let them know. I have consistently asked you to do the right thing for the children. Holding information from the parent is not doing the right thing for the child. Do the right thing. This lack of communication with the parents and redirecting communication is outright wrong. If you are not doing what is right for the children, then you're doing what is harmful and not in their best interest. Other issues that we've been concerned with over the past year and a half, 2 years, is partnering with Kelsey Siebel about the JAD, mask wearing, CRT, SEL, pornographic books in the library. All of these things you should be addressing. Yes, you believe it's not in the school, and I truly believe you think that, but parents and actual students have brought the situations to you here at the board, at these meetings, giving you actual recordings and listings of what's going on. So some bad seeds might get through, but it's also your job to find out who they are and redirect what is happening in this district. It's a huge district. It's a lot of responsibility. And I don't fault you for letting some things fall through. That's life. But I do expect you to act when parents and grandparents and citizens of the community come and bring these issues to you. And then nothing happens. Do the right thing. Take care of the children. If you're not doing the right thing, you're doing the wrong thing. And I will continue to pray for all of you, because God is watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amber Fusca. Amber Fusca. irony of the theme of tonight. So, I stand before you today, almost 3 years to the day since the first time I reached out to this board regarding our son's situation. Sadly, nothing has changed in those 3 years, except for wasting hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars by deciding on pursuing due process instead of mediation, or better yet, giving the child the services that they need and deserve. But I'm not here to talk about the case that you lost, or even my child as an individual, but to address the systemic problem Conroe ISD has regarding its SPED population. Month over month, year over year, you sit here and listen to parents plead with you to fix both the dyslexia program and the entire SPED program at large, and yet you have done nothing. It's been brought to your attention many times, but perhaps with the election pending, you'll finally hear the words of your constituents and feel moved to take action. Since the main function of the school board is to provide local citizen governance and oversight of education. When I say you have a systemic problem, I'm not exaggerating. It's not a one-off issue, and it's not an isolated single campus. The issues are spread out all over the district at all grade levels. My husband and I have had parents reaching out to us on a regular basis since our due process trial, asking for advice and guidance as your district continues to deny services to children across the board. At this very moment, you have a campus that is either willfully ignorant of the new dyslexia handbook and how to qualify a child, or maliciously compliant with the district's agenda to keep kids from receiving the services that they need. If you don't have a blanket policy to keep kids from receiving services, then you have a lot of investigating to do. According to Hanlon's razor, we should never assume malice when incompetence will suffice. However, at the same time, sufficiently advanced incompetence is indistinguishable from malice. There's a certain point at which ignorance becomes malice. It's the point at which there is simply no way to become that ignorant except deliberately and maliciously. Based on the spread of the issue and the board's inaction, simple incompetence is hard to assume. I understand your position is unpaid. I too have sat on non-paying boards and done the thankless work for the betterment of our community. I implore you, if you truly took up this role, not to further your political aspirations, but to actually make a difference in the lives of children, start looking at the issues in this district and do better, Conroe ISD. Thank you.
Shannon Villaro. Shannon Villaro.
I feel like I need a stool because I'm kind of...
Understood.
I would like to thank President Hubert, the rest of the school board, and Dr. Knoll for hearing me tonight. I'm here tonight representing my family and other families that struggle with the education and well-being of dyslexic students. My family consists of 3 students, 2 of which struggle daily with the obstacles created by dyslexia. Scott Moore has been a champion for our dyslexic community. He has listened to families and students, he studied dyslexia, and he shared his knowledge with educators and lawmakers in hopes that students receive help, understanding, and to have a future. He has always understood that when families come forward and ask for more help in the area of dyslexia, we are not asking for help just in reading. We are asking for help with their mental well-being. The aspect of dyslexia that is not often talked about is the emotional aspect of it. When students do not receive the appropriate education, they begin to doubt not only their ability to read and write, but they question their future. CISD needs to continue to grow our dyslexic department and assistance to our students who receive specific education that teaches reading skills that will ensure to keep them out of crime, off public assistance, drug-free, and that they stay alive. The members of our school board are very important because not only can you help a school district, but you can listen and save student lives. So with that,
With that, I do ask that the board continues to increase the dyslexia department with more teachers and staff to help the 1 in 5 dyslexic students. Scott, on a personal note, you have given much more than one Tuesday night a month in this school district, and because of that, my daughter graduated from high school and is now thriving in college, and most importantly, she's alive. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Fuska.
Dr. Knoll, Board of Directors, thanks for allowing me to address you. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Mark Fuska. I'm the family who won the due process suit against Conroe ISD. A couple of items that still trouble me about this whole process. It was found Conroe ISD violated IDA law. You denied my son FAPE and you manipulated data in order to deny my son services. Given all this negative that happened to us and to our son, one would think you would never want this to happen again. This is why it's surprising that after the verdict, you never reached out to us. You never asked us what you could do better. Never held an internal audit to say we're gonna make sure this never happens to another student again, and we're gonna make sure that we put process and procedure in place to stop this. And you guys never asked, what does your son need to succeed in school? This never happened. In fact, instead of changing the way you dealt with my son, this district doubled down on your bad behavior and still denied him services that were ordered by the judge. You refused to share educational curriculum with us, refused to give us parts of our child's educational record, and what can only be seen as retaliation and the clear violation of my parental rights. Skeeter, you said very publicly that there are consequences for teachers who teach CRT. How about DIAC's principals and LSSP that manipulate data in order to deny student services? This is a systemic problem in this district. This has happened to both of my sons and is now happening to my daughter. At the same school, with the same principal, with the same DIAC, yet there are no consequences. My daughter has been denied dyslexia services for the past 3 years, even though she meets criteria. Now that you've been informed about this, can we expect any action to be taken? Will you do your duty to your constituents, to the students that depend on you to do what not is only legally right, but morally and ethically right? Or will you continue to set students up for failure? Conroe ISD says that all means all, but sadly by the actions taken, it's all means all except if you have special needs. Dr. Knoll, you mentioned equity when spending millions of dollars on artificial turf. Will this equity come into play for students with special needs? Surely they are also worth the investment of your time and money. And to the school board, I'm short on time, take your power back. You guys are the authority. You aren't elected to blindly follow what CISD tells you to do. Start to question decisions made by CISD. Start to implement change, because no student should have to endure what my son is having to endure at the hands of Conroe ISD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa Duncan.
Hello, Board. Good evening. I came prepared to speak tonight, but due to the nature of the message that was provided to me, I'm going to email that to you instead. So I'm going to pass tonight in the interest of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carolyn Nene.
Good evening. In the United States, we spend more money per capita on education than any other nation, yet our children are ranked at the bottom. Just a few months ago, it was reported that Conroe ISD had been downgraded from an A-rated school to a B per the TEA. It is my understanding that our school board will be voting on a $1 billion bond for this next year. How will you spend this money? It's obvious the money will not be going toward a quality education for our kids. The education system in America is broken. Once the states allowed the takeover of education by federal government is when we headed down this road to disaster. You no longer strive to educate our children with subjects that enhance their understanding of the world and the ability to think critically, but rather they are being taught a political agenda where subjects like science, math, history, and English are being tainted with wokeism. Is the $1 billion being dedicated to the continuation of teaching social emotional learning, critical race theory, and comprehensive sexual education? Our children are being groomed to become transgender and pedophiles. They are encouraged to become LGBTQ. They are exposed to drag queens and are being taught to engage in deviant sexual behaviors. They are pressured to changing their gender by using hormone blocking drugs and convinced they will be happier once they complete the transition process through the surgical removal of breasts and reproductive organs for the girls and removal of sexual organs for the boys. Once these children realize what they have done and they see the mutilation of their bodies, many are committing suicide. When we requested the sexually explicit books to be removed from the school libraries, you instead decided to label them as mature, and they remain in our schools. When we began to complain about CRT, you lied to us and said that this was not being taught in the schools. You continue to deny, and you continue to lie to us. This school board has miserably failed our children in our community. On November 8th, there will be an election, and 3 of you will be replaced, and in 2024, the rest of you will be replaced as well. I wish I could tell you that you are doing a good job, but if I did so, I would be lying. I will never stop praying for the school board, nor will I for the children. I will continue to pray God will change the hearts and minds of each of you. Thank you.
Bonnie Hubert.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. My name is Dr. Bonnie Hubert, and I come before you as a CISD mom and a former CISD employee of 17 years. As you may have noticed by my last name, I'm the wife of the sitting board president. For the last 8 years, I've supported his elected, non-paid volunteer position on this board as he has served and advocated for CISD students, staff, and parents. I have never voiced my opinion as a CISD mom because of Skeeter's role on this school board. However, tonight I'm going to change that. In fact, with relevant credentials, such as a doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, I would be remiss not to stand before you and fellow CISD parents to speak up. Tonight, I'm here to talk about policies and procedures. I'm sure we can all agree that policies and procedures establish expectations, ensure students receive good education, and keep students safe. Policies and procedures. When I was a teacher at BB Rice, one of my students made an outcry of sexual abuse by a teenage neighbor. I knew the procedure. Let the school counselor know about it, then report it to Texas CPS hotline. I also knew that no matter how bad I wanted to, it was not my job as a teacher to immediately tell the parents what I learned. I followed the CISD procedure to tell the campus counselor, immediately call CPS to report it, and then let the counselor and administrators take it from there. Why? Because they are trained for those situations, and I followed that procedure for the benefit of the student. Years later in school counseling or crisis intervention roles I held, students demonstrated suicidal ideation, disclosed sexual assault by a peer, came to me with news of unexpected pregnancy or wanting to come out to parents or disclose having an abortion. Again, I followed procedures in place to create a safe space for students and families to process that information and tap into the resources offered to help them. Procedures are there to keep kids safe. Results may not happen as fast or even the way we want, but no matter. We should expect all staff in CISD to follow procedures and be held accountable if they don't. Our school board members uphold policies and procedures. Yet, for doing just that, they are falsely accused of lying and covering things up. Right now, people are up in arms about books that are pornographic or inappropriate in our libraries, and I'm standing here to say I am with you. I don't want CISD teachers promoting pornographic books or scripts to my children, but there is a policy and procedure in place for anyone that seeks the removal. It's a committee decision. So what if we do if we don't agree? There is a procedure for that. Appeal the decision, bring it before the board. They too must follow laws, policies, and procedures. Those of you that berate, falsely accuse, and vilify the men and women seated on this board for doing their jobs, you are going against the very law and order you demand. Thank you.
That's the last one? All right, very good. All right, thank you.
If I could just address one thing, because just as a statement of fact, because we discussed this at an open meeting previously, so I want to share the information once again. We do not keep any information from parents. There is procedure that's in place. If we had, as we discussed in an open meeting before, we had a situation where there was confusion on that, we did retraining. We have trained all of our administrators and counselors on precisely that. So I just want to make sure that that's clear to the public, that that is our policies, that we share information with parents.
Okay.
There's also another fact that we were never downgraded from an A to a B as well.
Correct.
Yeah, that
Yes, sir.
never happened. And we don't promote the jab as well? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's not our.
We don't even know what that is.
I mean, we just don't do those things, so. We haven't made any kind of rules or anything that a child has to be a different vaccination to come to school or anything like that?
No, sir.
No, absolutely not, okay. All right, very good. Moving on to item for the consent agenda. I have not heard from anybody to remove anything.
Mr. President, I make a motion, like to make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor show by uplifted hand. By same sign. Very good, motion passes. All right, item 5, administration, receive update regarding attendance zone and intermediate school in the Caney Creek High School feeder.
All right, Dr. Hines, we're making progress on our 2 attendance boundary committees that are underway, and Dr. Hines is going to update us on our Caney Creek process.
I don't have too many of these meetings left, so I'm going to try to.
You're always welcome, Dr. Hines.
Yeah.
You are a citizen and a taxpayer.
Tonight, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll, want to give you an update on our process for the attendance boundary committee for Veterans Memorial Intermediate, and then next month you'll get an update on our progress in the Grand Oaks area. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Veterans Memorial, just as a quick kind of a recap of some information we shared a few weeks ago. You know, we certainly, just gives you an idea of growth and where we've been in the last few years. If you go back to 2018, which wasn't that long ago, right? Going back to a 5-year look, we were at 61,782 students. And on October 13, 2022, we were at 70,879 students. And so just to kind of give you an idea, that's up 3,757 students from that date a year prior. So that's significant. And really up until then, we had always experienced this very kind of predictable growth, anywhere from 12 to 1,800 students. And we saw last year a big jump, but we weren't sure if that was just kind of a rebound from the pandemic, because we didn't see a big jump in 2020. But this year, it's kind of proven to be our new normal. And the preliminary data that we are receiving from our demographers says that this is what we should expect, right? And we'll be sharing our newest demographic report at the December 6th workshop. But our preliminary projections show us conservatively adding roughly between about 15,000 students in the next 5 years and approximately 30,000 students over the next 10 years. So just something for us to begin to think about and plan for. Again, where's the growth happening? We've tried to highlight in red some of those fast growth areas. You can see that it's spread pretty much throughout the entire school district and all of our feeder patterns. 37 of our 65 campuses are over capacity right now. We are at 101% of our district's capacity, and we're utilizing currently what is equivalent to about 4 campuses and portable classrooms. We're going to talk tonight specifically about Veterans Memorial Intermediate. It is related to the junior high question. Moorhead Junior High is at 133% capacity at 1,395 students with 11 portables. and Grangerland's at 112% capacity with 10 portables. So next year, we will be opening Veterans, the new Moorhead Junior High School, which will make room for Veterans Memorial. And this map is just the Caney Creek feeder. It gives you an idea. And roughly, when I went back to that fast growth map, I'll just make a note. The large majority of our growth will be east of I-45 in the next 10 years. And so it's certainly something that we want to think about. And Caney Creek is really primed for a lot of that growth. And this is some of the areas. And you can see it spread south and north-south along the 242 corridor and north, going up north as well, so north of 105. So Grangerland has a capacity of roughly 1,050 students, and we are project to have enrollment for this year about 1,250. In 2028, we are projecting about 2,200 students in grades 5 and 6 in the Caney Creek feeder. And so with the opening of the new Veterans Memorial Intermediate, we will have capacity for roughly 2,100 students to serve 5th and 6th grades, which should take us roughly to about 2028. So we have about a 5-year solution. So the new Moorhead Junior High School is being built. It's larger. It can hold up to 1,600. We will fill that up pretty soon as well. And it's going to replace the 1,050 student capacity model. That building, by the way, originally opened as an intermediate school, and we converted it to a junior high across the street when the junior high used to be combined in the same building as Caney Creek High School. So we moved the junior high over, and now it's going back as an intermediate school. And so just kind of a reminder, it was 2001 when we opened Grangerland, and then they moved in 2008 to their current location next to Milam. So this is a picture of our current Moorhead Junior High School, which will be Veterans Memorial. To do this, we have a committee of principals and parents. We also have several district staff that act as resources to the process. And we've been meeting, we've had several meetings, we've been working on it, and really our objective was very kind of focused. We actually got a head start when we were doing the Hope zoning, so the committee got a chance to kind of start on it earlier, and so we kind of could pick it up in mid-form, but we've been working on it, and really the goal is create the attendance boundary to populate the new campus, and we want to solve for the crowding at Grangerland. We want to give ourselves a little bit of room for future growth. We know this is going to be difficult because schools are communities, and families often have a history of going to a particular school. They often choose where they live. And the good news is families in the Caney Creek feeder are familiar with both these campuses. And we've worked through several scenarios, and really at this point, this is the committee favorite, and so don't be surprised if next month I'm not back presenting this as our recommendation, but I wanted to give you an early glimpse of what the work our committee has been doing. We've had several different drafts and forms. But you can see this is kind of our latest version. It basically splits San Jacinto and Hope in the pink area, and the green is Austin and Creighton. Attendance zone and Milam kind of gets split a little bit down the middle, but the majority of Milam ends up at Grangerland Intermediate, and then the more eastern and northern portions of Milam's attendance boundary would be at Veterans Memorial. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a glimpse. You can see it divides. One school's a little over 500, another one's about 660 students. Both of them come out pretty evenly split in terms of socioeconomics. So we think this is a pretty good starting point. Again, we know this isn't a forever solution, but it is a good way for us to kind of look at the split for next year. So this was scenario 3.13, and is the most popular version within our committee at this point.
How many families are affected by that?
So it is 663 students
Okay.
are impacted. So that's our impact number, is the
Okay.
number that moves the Better Memorial.
That's a 60.
So right now, it's just splitting in half.
Okay.
Is pretty much how we're doing it. But that's a great question. And we do normally put a number to that to try to get an understanding of how many people we're impacting. In this case, with a split, we know we're going to impact about
A lot.
half of the population. It's a little bit more, you know, and the building is probably just a teeny bit bigger than the current Granger land, so we think there's room there. When we look at the growth projections, both north and south are going to grow. North may be a little quicker at first, simply because of the development that's coming, but eventually we're going to get it all over. So this, just to kind of remind you that we're only impacting grades 5 and 6 in this rezoning. And we do allow families, if they want to finish, to do a transfer, and if they have a sibling, we'll honor that as well. So we have a very active attendance boundary page. We've been taking feedback. We even had it open for scenarios. We closed off Monday taking scenarios online, so it's been open for probably about 6 weeks, and we took that part off, but we're still taking comments and feedback. And we have one more round of public presentations where we plan to share a recommendation starting next week and then going into the week after. So we're going to start, and then we'll be back hopefully in November with a recommendation, and if not November, we'll be back in December. But we're shooting for November, so we can get started on the zoning. So, are there any questions that you have for me?
Have you had a lot of response from the communities that will be impacted?
We really haven't had a lot of feedback. I mean, you know, we've heard from a couple of people about specific questions about, you know, going this way or going that way, and I'm going to go back to the map. We worked really hard on that area, particularly in the central part, because the schools are so close to one another. The challenge for the committee has been, honestly, is we do have to move the students. Like, we have to, and so it's an awkward kind of a dividing line, and you can see we kind of settled on leaving everybody in that 2090 corridor and between 3083 and Old Houston Road, kind of leaving them, if they're on the southwest side, they're going to Granger land. And in that particular area gets kind of tricky because some streets can pop out either way. They can go out onto Old Houston and then go out onto 3083. And so we had some feedback about that. So we've heard from a few people in that area, mostly in terms of issues. I think everybody else kind of looks at it and probably it makes sense, or, you know, I know which way I'm going to go. But that area is probably where we've had the most feedback.
But they're not passing Veterans Memorial to get to Granger.
Correct. So that's one of the challenges, and it is one of those realities of there are some folks that live very close to both, but we were trying not to drive past a school or a line of cars to go get in another line of cars, if that makes sense. So we did look at that, and hopefully this makes sense. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting. We know with the junior high opening on Grangerland Road right there, we're going to create a lot of traffic in the interior of that community, where you know, the high school, the junior high, the Milam, and Grangerland all basically are all within walking distance of one another. But there's no really good way to walk. We do provide bus service through that area for that reason, because we don't have really good ability to walk and pass. Yeah. That's a great question.
Any other questions? All right, very good.
Thank you, Dr. Evans.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 6, which is our planning and construction. A, receive capital improvements update. Is that from Mr. Foster?
Yeah, Mr. Foster is out today, so Mr. McCord is going to do our update.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. I'm here tonight to deliver the October capital improvements update, and I'm elated to tell you, as far as safety and security goes, we are on track to finish in December. We are almost completed. I salute each of these campuses. They've done a great job of working with us as we've worked on their campuses over the last year. We're waiting on a few electrical components to arrive, and we'll be able to finish out Safety and Security 2022 and look forward to Safety and Security 2023. I want to talk about the new Moorhead Junior High. Dr. Hines spoke to it a little bit just a second ago. Here's a picture of which I can talk about a great number of things. If you look at the left side of the middle, you'll see the new Moorhead Junior High. The exciting thing for Moorhead Junior High is that this will put them in a building with a capacity of 1,600, which will be up from the current capacity of the building they occupy of 1,050. Currently, as of today, I did a check, and Moorhead Junior High has 1,397 students. So this is a great thing for Moorhead. It will provide some relief, at least temporarily, for them. They've done a good job, Mr. Garcia and his group over there, so we salute them. Also, we talked about Grangerland Road. That is in the foreground. You can see it running from south to north in this picture. Also worthy of just note, you'll see on the right side a significant amount of land for the detention pond that's required for what we have there. Above that, just to the what would be the east, that is area that we hope to build a new transportation center to serve East County. If you look over to the left, which would be over on the top left, you'll see Caney Creek High School, which I will talk about in just a moment. And then at the very top left, you'll see the current Moorhead Junior High, the future Veterans Memorial Intermediate. So a lot of things going on, a lot of exciting things. I will tell you this week, in the last few days, we have met with the county regarding Grangerland Road. They oversee Grangerland Road, and also TxDOT regarding 1485, 2090, and 3083, and just things that can be done to help with the traffic and everything going on in the greater Grangerland area. I'm going to change gears and talk about Conroe High School. A lot of exciting things happening here. If you look at the top, you'll see the white roof just by the football field at the very top center of this picture, and you will see an image of the gyms and locker rooms. We hope to have those released and available for students to use when they come back from spring break in 2023. Exciting. Also available to the campus as things are going now on the right side, also known as the west, you'll see the white roofs, and that is where Career Technology Education, CTE, will be, which is exciting. And something that's exciting to me, at least, is at the very bottom you see a new patch of concrete, which we'll have for student parking and parking for events, which is always needed at the Conroe High School complex. But I thought I would do something different today that we haven't done, and I want to show you an image that we've never shown. And it's exciting to me and exciting to the very small group of people which I polled. But this is a picture of the new Conroe High School site plan for when we finish in the year 2025. But this is what it will look like if I view it from the north. And furthermore, it will show you what will be where. And so this is really neat, and this is a good image, and I don't know if I've ever shown you this before. Remember, they're flipping the side of the entryway from the south side to the north. You can see the new cafeteria, fine arts, a courtyard area, which I think will be very well received, especially on days like today, which are quite lovely. The new CTE area, you'll see 105, Wilson Road, Longmire, just showing off the edge of the screen at the bottom. A lot of good work going on, and Conroe High, a lot of things to be excited about. This campus, when it's done, will have a capacity of 4,300 students. So excited about what's going on at Conroe High School. Moving on to Oak Ridge High School, we still have work to be done and beautification to occur in the front, but here is the front entryway for the new entrance to Oak Ridge High School. At Oak Ridge High School, you'll see the entryway here, and then the Oak Ridge administration area there just to the left. This is all being done. This is on the west side of Oak Ridge High School. And what's even just as exciting and more exciting to me is the CTE area. This is underway. This will be open. This will be occupied in January of 2023 upon return from New Year's. Right here, the CTE area will be open in August of 2023 for students. And we will have 17 different courses taught in this area, which is going to be neat, being able to serve our kids. So we are on track to get that open for August of 2023, along with completing infrastructure systems within the building. Christopher J. Hines Elementary School in the Grand Oaks area. This is a view from the east just a couple of days ago. Now I'm looking down from the east, you can see brick and masonry work is being completed. We expect it to be closed in and dry in January of 2023. And it will be finished in the summer of 2023 to be opened in August of 2023. We have just an outstanding boundary committee, great people. It's been a great experience, and we are going to be coming to you if things go as planned in November to give you a preliminary ideas of where we are headed with the committee. And so we're looking forward to that. Just a lot of good things to say about that group. I want to talk about the new maintenance facility. This is off 2854. It will house maintenance, custodial, and child nutrition. So child nutrition and custodial maintenance will be here. On the near side, you will see where roof work is being done. You can see there is a large detention pond, as we have in Montgomery County at the top. You'll see roof work. You'll see interior walls being finished out later this month. We will move into this building and occupy it in the summer of 2023. Remember, we move out of Old Jet August 23rd, 2023, around 5 p.m. So this is what you see. It is moving along, and we are excited about the new maintenance facility. I encourage you to drive by and see it. The child nutrition facility off 2854. Candy Creek, I appreciate Dr. Stickler and his group. They've been great. We had a slight delay of a couple of months because of availability of steel in the United States, but we are on track to open the new front entrance for Candy Creek High School when we return from Thanksgiving in just not very long off, a little over a month. So this is going as planned. We had a temporary entrance. It's been great. The community's been great. We will finish all parts that we are working on currently at Candy Creek in the summer of 2023. Salute his group. Talking about the Collins Cobras and Mrs. LeBlanc at Collins, we have what will be transformational for an elementary school, which is the addition of a gym. You can see it. It stands out conspicuously as the white area there at the bottom of your screen. That is on schedule. There is no drama with steel or anything concrete, anything to go along with the opening of a gymnasium. That will be available for students to use and the campus to use when they return in January of 2023. So very excited about what's going on there with Collins for those students, and everything is going along swimmingly there. And that is your capital improvement update for tonight.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Put Mr. Foster on notice.
That's right. That's right.
He just walked off with some swag. Did you see that?
He's feeling good about it, wasn't he?
Feeling good about it. That little dip.
Might have been a cramp, sir. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, I need to put our meeting in recess at this time. The time is 7:37.
All right, we are going to now move to a public hearing. This is our public hearing on our Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, otherwise known as the first report. At the conclusion of Ms. Garza's presentation, there'll be an opportunity for comment as well. Ms. Garza, the floor is yours.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll, and community members. It is my pleasure this evening to present the School Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas Annual Financial Management Report. The state's financial accountability rating system, known as the FIRST, ensures that Texas public schools are held accountable for the quality of their financial management practices. The ratings you will see this evening are based upon staff and student data for the 2021 school year and budgetary and actual financial data for fiscal year ended August 31st, 2021. So how are ratings assessed? Districts are assigned one of 4 ratings, the highest being A, superior achievement, earning between 90 and 100 points, the lowest being substandard, earning between 0 and 69 points. This is a summary of how the ratings are scored. There are 20 separate performance indicators for a total possible points of 100. The first 5 indicators are considered critical indicators in that if a district fails any one of these indicators, they are automatically assigned an F or substandard rating. There are also 4 ceiling indicators. If a district fails one or more of these indicators, they are automatically assigned a B or lower rating, regardless of how many points they accumulate on the remaining indicators. We are pleased to announce this evening that Conroe ISD has received an A or superior rating, scoring a perfect score of 100 out of 100 possible points. This rating is the state's highest, demonstrating the quality of Conroe ISD's financial management and reporting systems. So even though we have scored a perfect score, we are required to share the results of each of the indicators with our community, so I will go through them very briefly. First of all, starting with our critical indicators. The scoring on indicators 1 and 2 are regarding the annual financial report, or AFR, that is submitted to the Texas Education Agency annually. Number 1, was the report submitted by the required deadline? And number 2, was there an unmodified opinion on the financial statements as a whole? The district received a passing score on both of these indicators. Indicators 3 and 4 are measuring compliance with all payment terms. Number 3 is looking for timely payment for all debt agreements, and number 4 is looking for timely payments to the teacher retirement system, the Texas Workforce Commission, the Internal Revenue Service, and other governmental agencies. All payments were processed on time. The district received a passing score on both of these indicators. Once again, indicator number 5 was not scored as a result of the requirements surrounding the pension and OPEB liabilities on the statement of net position. Now we'll move on to our solvency indicators. Indicator number 6 was the average change in fund balance, both assigned and unassigned, over the last 3 years less than a 25% decrease, or did the current year fund balance exceed 75 days of operational expenditures? We received a passing score. Number 7 was the number of days cash on hand and current investments in the general fund sufficient to cover operating expenditures? Yes, the district did have sufficient cash and current investments on hand. We received a 10. Indicator number 8 was the measure of current assets to current liabilities ratio sufficient to cover short-term debt. We received a 10. Number 9, did the school district general fund revenues equal or exceed expenditures? We received a 10. Indicator number 10, as was mentioned earlier in the presentation, the measurement year for this first report was the 2021 school year, and as we are well aware, we were in the height of the pandemic at that time. And given the volatility with enrollment and attendance during the pandemic, there were 2 additional indicators that were not scored this year for the first report, number 10 being one of those 2. Number 11, was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the district sufficient to support long-term solvency? If the district's increase in student membership over the last 5 years was 7% or more, the district automatically passes this indicator. We received a 10 out of 10 on this one. Number 12, was the debt per $100 of property value sufficient to support debt repayments? We received a 10. Number 13, was the school district's administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold? The state's threshold is 8.55%. Conroe ISD's administrative ratio is 3.8%. Indicator number 14, did the school district not have a 15% decline in the student-to-staff ratio over the preceding 3 years? If student enrollment increased, the district automatically passes this indicator. We are a growing district. We did receive a 10 out of 10 on this indicator. Moving on to the financial competence indicators. This is the second of the 2 indicators, number 15, that was not scored as a result of the pandemic. Indicator number 16, did the comparison of PEIMS data to like information in the school district AFR result in less than 3% variance of expenditures by function? Conroe ISD had 0 variances. We did receive a passing score on this indicator. Indicators 17 and 18 are measuring internal controls over financial reporting and compliance for local, state, and federal funds as determined by the external independent auditor. The district did receive a clean audit and therefore passed both of these indicators. Number 19, did the school district post the required financial information on its website in accordance with various government codes, other statutes, laws, and rules that were in effect at the fiscal year end? We did receive a 5 on this indicator. And then lastly, did the Board of Trustees discuss the district's property value at a board meeting within 120 days prior to adopting the district's budget? We received a passing score on this one as well. As always, we like to compare ourselves to our peer districts. It is presented here. And then lastly, the first report, along with the additional required disclosures, including the superintendent's contract, the annual financial management report, can be located on the district's transparency site at the link listed below.
Thank you, Mrs. Garza. This time I would open it up to any board members if you may have any questions. At the same time, I would open it to community. If anybody had a comment, you could come to the podium and make a comment.
Who issues this? What agency?
Texas Education Agency, TEA.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Hey. Okay.
I think you're done.
That's
With this
yeah,
one,
we'll conclude.
no more.
Was that Darren? Where is Darren at? Darren would have been. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Garza. That will conclude our public hearing. President Hubert.
All right, very good. We'll give Ms. Garza a chance to scoot that around so she can stay up there. All right. Very good. Bring us back out of recess. The time is 7:44. moving on to item 8, which is our finances. Item A is receive financial reports. Ms. Garza?
All right, good evening once again. It is my pleasure this evening to present the financial statements for the month ended September 30th, 2022. First statement is our balance sheet. Our balance sheet shows the district's assets, liabilities, and fund balance. In the general fund, we had total assets of $668.9 million, debt service $156.5 million, child nutrition $14.5 million, and then self-funded insurance $8.1 million. This is our cash and investments as of 9/30/22. We had $120.8 million in the state pools, $23.6 million with Wood Forest, U.S. Bank, our shorter-term investments at $14.9 million, and then our longer-term investment ladder with TCG $53.6 million, for total cash and investments in the general fund of $213.5 million. This is our income statement. The income statement shows the district's revenues and expenditures. In the general fund, we had total revenue of $47 million, total expenses of just over $27 million, almost $28 million. 2019 bond referendum update. Total funds encumbered and expensed $523.9 million, remaining $126.3 million. So we're moving into a new plan year for self-funded insurance. Our results for September, we had total revenues of $4,344,357, total expenses of $4,326,862, for a gain of just over $17,000. Our investments as of September 30th, our par value is $622.2 million. Pools are yielding 2.67%. Our investments with Wood Forest, 3.16%. Our shorter-term investments are at 82 basis points. Our ladder with TCG is at 97 basis points. And then our combined portfolio is at 2.49%, compared to our benchmark, the 90-day T-bill, at 3.13.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Garza. Appreciate you. 3.13 T-bills, that's pretty good. All right, moving on to item 9, which is legal A. We need to nominate a candidate for the TASB Board of Directors for Region 6B.
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate board member Ms. Teresa Wagman, if she is so inclined to accept that nomination.
I second that motion.
I don't know. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? We just nominated.
Yeah, I apologize for that. Work emergency.
Understood, no problem. Ms. Wagman, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
All right, okay. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor show by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. You have big shoes to fill, but you'll do a great job.
I have big shoes to fill, but I will definitely wear my own shoes.
They're 12 double E's.
Yeah. You'll do a great job, Chase. Thank you. Thank you so much for accepting that.
And just for clarification purposes, Mr. Moore, I know this is something that you've worked closely with, but now because of our size and growth, we will always have a
Yes, yes, we
permanent
have
seat, correct?
We have what is considered a large district seat on the TASB Board of Directors, and as long as our attendance maintains 125% of state ADA, which is not growing.
I don't think that's going to be an issue.
State ADA is not growing at 4,000 students a year,
Right.
so we will have that seat, yes.
Okay.
Right.
Great. Thank you.
Very good. Moving on to item 9B, which is Board of Trustee Continuing Education. I've got our continuing education announcement. The State Board of Education requires school board members to complete continuing education every year. The state considers this training a board member's duty to his or her community. The state also requires that the board announce for each of its members whether the member has completed or exceeded the required training, or if a member has failed to complete the number of required training hours and is therefore deficient. Mr. Secretary, please let the minutes of the meeting reflect the continuing education requirement for the members of the Conroe Independent School District Board of Trustees of November 1st, 2021 through October 18th, 2023. 2022 as follows. So, Mr. Moore, on your way out, you get the gold star. The required number of continuing education training hours accomplished was 57 hours. Ms. Wagman exceeded the required number of continuing education hours by 5 hours. Overachiever there, too. Mr. Sanders, Mr. Williams, Ms. Chase, Ms. Hubert completed the required number of continuing education hours, and Mr. Inman did not meet the state required training hours for the current assessment year. All right, and item 10 is executive session. The committee will go into closed session pursuant to section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.089 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Any action, vote, or decision of the committee with regard to any matters discussed in closed session will be made when the committee returns to open session. The time is 7:50. All right, I call our meeting back in session. The time is 9:11. Moving on to our next item is to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion and a second?
Second.
All those in favor, show by uplifted hand. Motion carries.